Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. Good afternoon. No, it's evening now. Good after. I was just doing it again. Good evening on this hot, humid Sunday, the 29th of June. Hope you're all doing well. I've got everyone's favourite city in the house, Mr. Jack City, with us. We're here to talk about Leeds United. I thought I'd bring him on because he's a lot like me in terms of just asking for a little bit of calm when it comes to transfer window. I don't know if you've seen it, Jack. You probably have on your stream on Thursday on the live and that. It's very much panic stations. Anyone would think the season was about to kick off next weekend. So I thought we could just chat about Leeds United, potential incomings, what happens in terms of outgoings, because obviously July the 1st is just 2 days away and we might see some movement with some of the youth, maybe the goalkeeper and stuff like that. So we'll chew the fat over that. But before we do, mate, and everyone get your comments in and fire the questions at us, to be fair. How are you doing, mate? You good?
I'm all right, so yeah, you?
Yeah, I'm all right, mate. It's been, to be fair, mate, there were 2 family fun days on the Saturday and Sunday. So I went to them both, but they say free. And then you get there and the rides are like £5 a pop, £4 a go. It's like, for fuck's sake, man.
Yeah, no, it's free.
Yeah, no, exactly. And then there was supposed to be an outdoor foam party, which I thought, the kids are 2 and 4. And then I got there and they went, oh, no, it's just 4. I looked, I thought, that's another 3 hours. No way. I'll have no money left. I went, oh, it's not on, kids. Let's go. You know what it's like? Well, no, you don't. You haven't got sprogs, but yeah.
No, not yet. No, my brothers do though. So you know, if I take them out, I know what it's like. Yeah, but you can schedule that because I can be like, right, I'm going to blow a load of money in a few weeks. Do you know what I mean? So I can like prepare.
Yeah, true.
Obviously, you've got it 24/7. So it's like,
unfortunately. Well, I was going to say unfortunately so, but that's not true, is it? I can't say that. Unfortunately, yeah, I've got kids. Here we go then. Let's look. No Pira, no party. Sunderland and Burnley are all signing players, and we're just sat here watching them being very slow in the transfer market. I did a little bit of research, mate, yesterday. The most anyone signed in the Prem is 4. The lowest is 0, and we've signed 2. So are we being slow? Officially, Sunderland have only signed 1 player, by the way. Burnley have signed a few. I think 4. But there's no time for panic, is there, mate? It's not even July yet.
They've got more to do as well, Joe, aren't they? Let's have it right. We are in a stronger position, and there's nobody, you know, like Sunderland have lost Bellingham, haven't they? Which is, you know, I mean, I'm not Bellingham's biggest ever fan. I think there's a bit running off at side of his brother, isn't there? But I mean, he's obviously decent. But he's one of the better players, and they've lost him immediately, you know, straight after promotion. So I just aren't worried. I wasn't worried about what Sunderland and Burnley were doing in transfer market in January last year. So I'm definitely not going to worry about it in summer. They've got a lot more work to do than us. We're by far and away a better side, I believe, stronger.
We got 20 more points than Sunderland, so they have to bridge that gap. And people will talk about, oh, their manager, he can bring in play. Well, he might be able to bring in French players, but at the end of the day, he still couldn't clear a 20-point gap on our manager, could he? So, like, I just think there's so much negativity towards our own football club, and we look at others and go, oh, why can't we be more like them? It's like we won the league, man.
Yeah, and I don't want to be more like them either. I never understand this. Like, we've got to pit each other against the other side. And what are they doing? Like, I don't care about what they're doing. Obviously, you need to keep a bit of an eye on it. You don't want them running away and think, my word, they have got some outrageous business done and we're not moving anywhere. But let's just focus on what we're doing. Like you said, we brought 2 players in. And with a guys that they're going to bring in more, you know, that like when they signed Nemecha, it was like, this isn't the answer, by the way. They never said this is like, you know, the number 9 going forward. It's a brilliant step forward, that, isn't it? You know?
Yeah, of course it is. Diamond Miss says, Sunderland beat us to the striker. They haven't signed a striker, and we're not aware who this striker is that you speak of. Be staying up, that's for sure. We're too slow as usual. It's honestly, I can't help but get vexed by it because, again, the season kicks off. Is it 2nd week of August? The window doesn't shut, I think, till September, and it's now June. Like, I guess that here's an example, right? I guess let's say, for example, like it's my daughter's birthday on 18th, right? I'm running out of time. But if my daughter's birthday was September 1st, I'm not sat here going, oh my God, I'm moving too slow. I'm never going to be able to get a presents in time. Do you know what I mean? It's a similar sort of vibe, right?
Yeah, well, I think what happens is when another team brings a player in, it's suggested that we're just sitting on his hands, just going like, "Oh my, how are they getting all this business done?" And they're all, they're just on phone to the mates, just having natters or whatever. They will be working like there's no tomorrow. What they're trying to get deals done, seeing who's available, looking around in the pond of players. It's like they're not bothered about what other teams are doing. And like with Diarra and stuff, it's like we were looking at that player. It's got Sunderland have paid a proper premium for him. We obviously wasn't willing to pay it, or whatever you think. I mean, they said that we'd matched it, didn't they, initially, and then they retracted that. And it's all just like nonsense talk, though, isn't it, as well? And I know we are fully engaged in it, and I talk about it every day, the nonsense. But I don't know. It's all. Let's just worry about what we're doing, and there will be a time to panic if nothing starts to move. When you go, well, we started all right, but I just think we need to give it a couple of weeks before we really get in panic mode. I mean, everybody thought it'd be July 1st for a starter, didn't they? That's what everybody was sort of waiting on anyway. And we've got a bit done before that. So, and there's been no sign of players getting moved out or, anybody coming in to pick any of our better players or anything like that. So we're in a strong position in that sense. Let Sunderland are in that position. They've got to fill a gap and add. So we don't have that problem at the moment. Obviously, we're losing Firpo and we will need a left back and stuff, but we'd have probably been in the market for a left back anyway. So it's
exactly, that's what I mean. And I think Sunderland have confirmed the signing of Renildo, and we were linked for a period of time. But again, I'm not sure how credible the sources were. That's not copium. It just didn't come from anyone top tier. The one player that you can say has come from a lot of sources and has been reported today again in the Telegraph is Goodmanson. So I would say that he's probably our number one pick. But yeah, Renildo has confirmed. Seen a comment there from Thomas. What do you say to those that blame the manager? Like we can't get deals over the line because of the manager. Like it's crazy. I for me personally, okay. So footballers a lot of the time in today's world, agents as well, go for the money, right? They go for the money. Now, when you're at the top of the game, let's say for example, Florian Wirtz had Bayern and he had Liverpool. Now, it did say after the fact that Liverpool beat Bayern to the race because Arne Slot was able to present better to him than what Vincent Kompany did. Yeah. Okay, I hear it. But the players that are coming to Leeds United, let's say Leeds United had matched Sunderland's bid and offered the same contract. Again, you could say, all right, but I wouldn't put it down to manager quality. I would just say that, let's say, for example, Reggie Lebris has worked in the French market, has a better understanding there. If the player was German and coming from Germany, it might be totally different. But I don't think clubs or players, that want to come to the Premier League are going, yeah, I'm not moving to Leeds because of Daniel Farke. It's unfathomable for me, Paul.
It's Farke hating. It's just like Farke can't do anything really. I don't even really know where it comes from other than just literally your set standing point. Your first point is that you don't like him and that we can't bring any players in. It's not even been true over the seasons that he's been here. So I don't really understand. Like you say, they come for the money anyway. They'll come for the project, don't they? And the project it does get laid on by Farke to some extent, but if Farke doesn't do the job next year, the players aren't bothered, are they? So they just go, well, Farke gets moved on. Obviously, if you're coming into a meeting with him and he's, a fool and he can't, but he's not that, is he? I like how calm he is. Some players will respond well to other managers. Some players will respond well to Farke. There doesn't seem to be a player at our club really that doesn't like him. I know we had all that thing with end of last season. I can't remember his name. My head's gone. Winger when it were all kicking off.
Ramazani,
yeah. I can't believe I forgot his name. I'm going to get pellets for that. I'm tired. Long weekend. But yeah, I know that was led to believe that they won't get in on or whatever. But I thought that were a load of trash as well. But So and he seems to nip everything in bud. He manages to drop players, not always playing them and stuff. And this seems like a good. I like him. Do you know what I mean?
He's the best fit for our football club right now, man. And until he's not, I'll say he stays. Do you know what I mean? I have
what players can't he attract? At what point would you, if you're up for coming to Leeds United, what manager would you be anticipating that's going to be at the helm of a newly promoted club? You've got to know where you're at as a footballer as well, don't you? And go, well, I'm this good. I believe I can take this club onto the next level, or I believe I can get in the side. You back yourself or whatever. So as long as Farke's saying that you'll get minutes, what more do you really want from the manager? If he's promised you a certain amount of starts, if you perform, I will play you. I know, obviously, like I say, if he's saying something wild in the, when you go meet him and you just think that guy's off his head, but if he's promising you minutes and you're getting paid well for a Premier League side, again, you've got to know where you're at.
100%. He's honest with them as well. Like, that was in a piece that was done on The Athletic. Like, if they're going to come in and start, he'll tell them. And if they're not, then he'll also tell them, and I prefer that. You know what I mean? Like, people, again, it's narratives, and when you don't like him, it's like we can push it now because we didn't get Diarra, even though we weren't willing to pay for him. But what about Yacobiol coming in, who had options elsewhere, but he chose Leeds United? Does that mean then that every signing we get, we have to praise Farke because he must have got it over the line, and every signing we don't get, it's because of manager? So if you're willing to apply that logic there, so these players that say, Josie, Ramazani should play more minutes, he's the best winger, he's better potential than some of it, all this, well, Farke was the manager when he came in, so does that mean he got that one over the line then?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't put it down to him, but like you say, if you're gonna do the opposite, then you have to say, well, Farke's brought every single one of these players in.
Yeah,
they're not, he's a high level manager, and he's Championship master, and then hopefully can, with a bit of money, can get us in a decent position in Premier League. So again, what manager are you anticipating to come to the club to play for? It's not going to be a top tier winner, is it, right now? No. Maybe down the line it will be, but
and I honestly, the Premier League, that much of a pull, I don't think it cares who your fucking manager is.
No,
because over the years, think of players that have come through at Newcastle. They had Steve Bruce once upon a time. Do you know what I mean? You can't tell me Steve Bruce was. So my point is, unless you're at the top of the game where you have a choice between Pep, Luis Enrique, Klopp, and you go, you know what, I've always wanted to play for Klopp, fair enough. But if you're a player who's operating in one of the lesser leagues to the Premier League, you get the opportunity to come. You're coming. I don't think they're going, nah, Farke is not the one. So I just
not over a manager. Like, say, unless it's the absolute pinnacle and you actually just want to go play for Guardiola because he's got such a method, and you know that you're Mahrez, and you know that, I know he's an unbelievable footballer, but he was so much better in that side because they play completely to his strengths. So you would be like, if he had a decision out of Liverpool and Man City, Mahrez is the better place for him to be, isn't it? Man City plays more towards his strengths. So there's that element, but that's at the very, very top, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got to know where you're at as a player. They're coming to play in the Premier League. If he got offered somewhere in Germany or whatever, he just won't have fancied it. They wanted to get to England where the big boys play, isn't it? So
100%, mate. You bang on.
And Wirtz guy, he would have gone to play for Arne Slot. Sure, they've had a brilliant conversation, but he's going to the club, Liverpool, who just won the league, who are competing for the Champions League and stuff.
Yeah.
Bayern Munich, as brilliant as a club as that is, Liverpool are bang at it, aren't they, right now?
Yeah, man. Definitely.
In an extremely competitive league, and they are the best team in the league, certainly, obviously, last year, 100%. And want to push on again. So that's the more attractive club.
Of course.
And Arne Slot's obviously a good manager, and the fine margins. It's fine margins with it.
It is, man. Gary Paul, let's talk Leeds. Make sure you go subscribe to his channel. He says, afternoons, lads. With this window, I'm so chilled, and to be honest, with these owners, I'm so relaxed. And we've got this. My only panic is we still have Harrison. I don't know why you would panic over that, right? I don't know what happens with Jack. I think it's probably best for all parties that he departs. But me personally, if he stays, I don't mind. Which I know will anger the chat. And people will say, but he didn't do nothing at Everton and all that. But Jack Harrison, because I've seen people say he's Championship or MLS or whatever, right? Jack Harrison is the only player that stayed in the Premier League out of our lot, apart from Calvin and Rafinha. The rest dipped. Now, yes, he was at Everton. Yes, it weren't great, but some came to the Championship with us that we paid even more money. Aronson, for example, we paid 20-odd mil for him. Jack was 11. Jack's the only one who's been a mainstay. So I don't think it. I think it's an emotional thing, obviously, because his mum said, I don't want him going to that lot. But, you know, it was only last year, or year before, sorry, Nonto refused to play and didn't get on the team bus. So, you know, things can change, but I have a sneaky suspicion that Farke might like Jack Harrison, you know. I think Farke might like Jack Harrison. It's just whether Jack will want to come back, and his mum, for that matter, as well, because she might be saying, Jack, you have to get out of there.
He might not have a choice, though, Joe.
No, exactly.
The thing is, you know, you can, you know, I don't know who's going to come in for him. I'm going to do a video on this next week, funnily enough, because I actually, talking to my brother, and I've really come round to Jack Harrison actually being a pretty mint option. It stops us, like, if we are not mint option, because I'll get pelts for saying mint, but just into if he's like the fourth winger at the club, it also, without even signing anybody, it just gets rid of the problem of having to bring someone in. I'd obviously prefer Solomon or whatever, anybody that, you know, there's more exciting wingers out there to go and challenge, but really it solves a problem. The 49ers are going to look at it. They're going to use him as a pawn out there, and they're going to go, the worst case scenario is if we can't find a winger at a decent price, we bring Jack Harrison back and Farke has to work with Jack Harrison. I agree that Farke will like Jack Harrison, because I think he will. He works hard and he does have a decent left foot. He will get a back. He's not going to embarrass us as a club. No. You know, he's been here before. He knows what the atmosphere is like. All job lot, all rest of it. The 49ers are going to take all emotion out of it. They will not give a monkeys. That's what I'm saying. They'll just use him. They'll say, well, we still have him. So the worst case scenario is let's bring him back in. Why not? Really, I've come around to the idea of it. Because I thought it'd be better for everybody for him to go, but who's that better for? Him? Yeah. I'm not bothered about him as a person. I don't mean that in a nasty way. I just mean like it's just a fact. I don't know him, so it's not better. I don't care whether it's better for him or not. He will come. He'll come back, and he work. To be fair to him, he does work, doesn't he?
Oh yeah,
he's not at Everton. He's not. He doesn't spit his dummy out. He's not kicking off. He's also not at that level to be able to do that. But he's a far better player than people let on that he is. Yeah. When we first went up, the Ferdinand's, I know Ferdinand's a full half at time when he's talking, but he was all over him. They're on about his wand of a left foot and how well he strikes the ball.
They were talking about an England call up for him at one point, Jack.
And I know you can drop off from that, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
Everton's a hard place to succeed, man.
I thought he was pretty consistent during the Premier League. I still say it now and I get pelters for it, man. He was probably...
Because of how he is, that's what I mean. That's the type of player. He's like a proper, decent player. He's not going to rip the league up by any means, but nobody is that we have. Do you know what I mean? We're at this level. If you were signing him again as to bolster the squad, you'd probably just go, well, let's bring in Jack Harrison. I know he wasn't brilliant at Everton. It's a really difficult place to succeed. There's not many players that have gone to Everton in past.
And you've got to look at the manager during that time and how he was expected to play. He got big competition with Dwight McNeil, for example, who's a good player. Yeah. All I remember, the memories of Jack Harrison I have in the Premier League for Leeds are all positive. Goals against Newcastle in that 5-2. He's got a hat-trick against West Ham. The goal that kept us up against Brentford. The goal against Liverpool. The moments that I remember of Jack, good moments, and he scored some very important and good goals for Leeds, and probably got umpteen assists as well. So if he stays for me, I don't mind. It's obviously not going to bother me, but I think there's some so passionate that he must score, and it's like it's an extra body who's got now 5 years Premier League experience and at a team that was down the bottom. So I don't know. I also think he'll have a lot of mates within the squad as well, and he'll be no bother in and around the training ground. There's a lot of positives to it, but I think the only negatives to it is coming from the fan base, really.
And that goes though, Joe, doesn't it?
Yeah, no, 100%.
I'm not having a go at
scores a goal against Everton in the first game of the season. We're like, you know what I mean?
It's fickle, isn't it? And that's not me having a go at Leeds fans, because I get Radji as well. You know, it's not like
every fan's fickle, mate. Football is fickle. Yeah. Anyone who says it's not, it's crazy.
And you just got, but some people don't want the best for the club. I actually believe that. Some people follow certain players And I think this is like the opposite of that, the flip of that, where they're just blaming Harrison. It's kind of a fun thing to do. You get loads of clicks for it. If you're banging on Twitter about how Jack Harrison can't come back, the interaction with it will be absolutely rife, won't it? But I'm just trying to be as sane as I can be about it. I said to you, I think I was on your show, Joe, a couple of months ago, I think it's better that we all go his own way. But then the more you come around to it, I just think, well, who's it better for? Because if we're looking for whatever's best for Leeds United, it might be the case. I want to bring in a winger and move Jack Harrison on. I think that's the best thing for Leeds United. But the next best thing might be Harrison coming back.
Yeah. And please listen to them words from Jack there, because the thing from this will be, they want to keep Jack Harrison. The other day, Philip Anderson, big up Philip, regular watcher, I was saying about Melier, potentially no one's coming in for him and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, we might end up in a situation where he just sits on bench for a year and then leaves, because he might go, well, I'll see my contract out and get a nice son. And the comment after Philip was, Joe, you want Melier to stay? And I was like, I never once said that, bro. I was just saying this is what could happen. So, yeah, I think, like I said at the start of that on Jack Harrison, it's probably best for all if it did end. But
is that me, Joe? Are you? I can't hear you. I don't know if it's me, though.
It's me.
Sorry.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
It's the wire. One of the wires is dodgy. Jonathan Marsden says, do you not have the slightest worry that it's not Nick Hammond, by the way? Nick Hammond's gone, bro. But you're talking about Adam Underwood. Now, I know you might not have any take on this, Jack, but that's what's being peddled a bit at the minute. Adam Underwood, who's been promoted from within to sporting director, and I think the other guy's called something Davis, who's head of scouting. They're new people, obviously, since we've lost Kinnear, since we've lost Nick Hammond. Nick Hammond was the one before who would, get it over the line with the finer details. That's now Adam Underwood's job. Are you, as a fan, particularly bothered about that? Do you think, again, a lot of people will say the reason we can't get these deals done is because these people lack experience. Do you think it's a risk having a brand new setup going into the Premier League?
I mean, the Lanone well in advance, don't they? For me, when Kinnear said he were going, I don't really know what he were hanging around for. I don't think in that position that he's in, I don't think you can do that, really. You can't tell me that you're getting sort of CC'd into emails that are for the summer. Do you know what I mean? When you're going to a majorly rival club. So to me, it was just like, right, Kinnear, get out then, get out of this. I don't know, you can't be in that position when you go into a rival club. But it's not, I don't think it's the most ideal thing, but it could end up being the best thing for us. So it's just one of them. We've got to wait it out and see. Again, I don't think it's not that we're not getting anything over the line. This is just happening because, is it just Diarra? Is this what's kicked off the?
I think
we can't get stuff over the line.
Yeah, we're slow and all this.
Don't have a bigger pull than us.
Yeah, no. And this is a great point here made by Thomas Smith. Joe, Keith Andrews wouldn't have been brought in if having a top manager was so important. And it's a good point. Brentford will sign players this summer. Keith Andrews was a League One, maybe Championship footballer at best. Has never been a manager before. Worked at Sheffield United, worked at MK Dons. And another great point, which Lockie mentioned just yesterday in our chat, Herzler, who is the youngest Premier League manager. He's like 33. So some of the players he'll be bringing in are older than him. He worked in Bundesliga 2, yet Brighton's recruitment is solid. So again, that's great points made by Thomas. That do you think Brentford now won't be able to sign anyone because they've got some idiot commentator? Well, I can't stand him, but he used to be a commentator. They're going to go, well, this guy was just a commentator last time I checked. I'm not signing for Brentford. You know what I mean? I don't think in 2025 it works like that. Maybe back in the 90s when you had managers and they were running the gaff like your Fergusons, etc., where they would turn up at the house like Bielsa when he turned up at Pochettino's house wanting to check his legs. That doesn't happen now. Do you know what I mean? It's 2025. It's data. It's scouting. It's all that stuff, man. I'm not concerned that the reason we won't bring in players is because Daniel Farke's at the helm, man.
I mean, you've got to look at how can he go in there and actually control the squad that's there. Yeah. Never mind bring players in. He was a set piece coach, wasn't he?
Yeah.
That's a huge jump. Yeah.
Did you see that? Did you know as well? I don't know if this is factual, but there was a chant You might have seen it on Twitter. Keith Andrews is magic. He wears a magic cap. He could have signed for MK, but they said no, fuck that. He became our free kick coach. We scored from none last season. And when we get relegated, he'll be the fucking reason. And that's from a Brentford fan. But like, does anyone know if that's true, that if Brentford scored 0 free kicks last season? Because if that's true, then that's a worry, isn't it?
They don't seem like a free kick type of side anyway, though, do they, to be fair? So, there's not a lot you can do if somebody can't deliver ball. We spoke about this before, but we had it with us, didn't we? Like, are we practicing
something that does need sorting for us, because we don't have anyone who can deliver a set piece at minute, bro.
100%, man. That's one thing. Well, not one thing. Rothwell, brilliant money. But, 9 times out of 10, when someone's decent at him, because when he did mess one up, there's not a peep, like not a groan in ground, nothing. It's just like, everybody's aware that, as I say, 9 times out of 10, it's a proper decent delivery from him. And it's huge, and also he can deliver ball, and if nobody can win header, because I had a joke last year, but, if Rothwell wasn't crossing it and Stewart wasn't heading it, know what were happening. We're literally that he was the only man that could win an header, so.
Yeah. And obviously we got Biol, haven't we? We've got Biol.
Yeah.
He's good in both boxes. So we need
if he's taking Pascal's place, then we're swapping an header for an header, aren't we? So.
Yeah, true, actually. It's not an additional one, is it? It's a good point, mate. Unless we go with a back three, you don't know, and have wing backs.
Do you think he'll switch it?
I don't know. I've been having this conversation because let's say we get Siddiqui. Obviously, we wanted Diarra, but let's say we're obviously in the market for a midfielder. Who does he drop, mate? Because I don't see a world in which he drops Ampadu, and you can't not play Tanaka. So does he go with the midfield three? Or is he going with 3 centre-backs? If he's going with 3 centre-backs, then we still need more centre-backs because we still are light there. Unless he sees Ampadu in the Prem. I think you said it before to me, like, I'm not so sure, Joe, in the Prem he might get gobbled up, which is probably a good point against some of the 9s that he'd come up against. But, yeah, I don't know. Maybe
Ampadu in centre-back.
Huh?
Ampadu in centre-back there.
Yeah, if he did do that, I'm just thinking... Like, if we were to go with 3 centre-backs, we need more additions there. Because Debayo will probably go out on loan. And then you've got 3 again.
He's not going to bring Debayo in, is he? Because he didn't want to do that last year. So anything that he wasn't doing last year, he's not going to risk this year unless they've come on leaps and bounds. I don't think he'll go 3 at back, personally. I think he might go 3 in middle. I think that's a realistic thing. Because I think that makes us really solid as well, obviously centrally. But because Tanaka proved that he could sit. So if Ampadu and Tanaka are both able to sit at times when we don't have the ball, then you've got an extra man in there, haven't you? That can push on when we do have the ball. Tanaka can get forward as well. So he's more likely to go 4-3-3 than I'd say with wing backs. I just can't see him going 3 at back. He might surprise me, but I just don't think. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, I know it's going to be. We do need some steel in that midfield, though, because I tell you, Newcastle's midfield is just pure power, isn't it? So you need something to match that up, and
that's my favourite midfield in the league.
It's
quality. Just like players like Joe Linton, man. I love watching players like Joe Linton, and he never gets any of the plaudits, obviously, because Bruno's amazing, isn't he? And Tonali, whatever he's called, he's been excellent. Yeah, but that Joe Linton is a monster, isn't he?
Yeah, and he came as a striker, man.
I know he did, and he was poor, wasn't he? He got a lot
bad. They spent a lot of money on him. He was a donkey, basically.
Yeah,
like that's what people would say. He's a donkey, man. He's terrible. And now look at him, Thomas. Of course, that's an easy question. Like, of course, I want a £25 million striker. 100%. Yeah, definitely. The headlines, Jordan Harrison starts on the... Yeah, definitely. If you got 3 million, would you sell him? No. He's not. No. Definitely not. I mean, what kind of price would you be talking for Jack, do you think?
Not 3 million.
No, you'd want 10. I think you want 10 plus because he's had 5 years. He's a Premier League proven player.
If you signed him for 3 million, this is what I'm saying. You'd think that was the best bit of business going. You'd think, well, he's not, again, I don't need to say everything I just said about Harrison, but for 3 million, you'd go, let's definitely, but it's like 10 quid in football, isn't it? Yeah. It's literally like going to the shop. Crazy.
See, this is the thing. Fatawu from Leicester would be where I'd rather Jack Harrison than Abdul Fatawu. That's not even bullshit. I'm not even lying. But
why is Jack Harrison now the worst player in the league?
Yeah, we don't want to.
I mean, just because it's a realistic option, so people can't handle it. You know what I mean? Let's just bring anybody else in now, just because Jack Harrison might be the man.
Yeah,
it'd be mint if he got 10 goals or something from like a real bit part, and just thought he's on fire off at bench.
Wild
he
take.
Just won't let you down in Premier League.
I'm not surprised. Let's talk about some other players. Meslier. Obviously, July 1st soon come. Leeds United are in the market for a goalkeeper. It's been very quiet. Mike McGrath did a chat, did an article today as well in the Telegraph, just saying Leeds have been looking at goalkeepers. Many believe that a goalkeeper arrival would be in the event of Meslier leaving, but there have been no official bids for the 25-year-old in this window. It is a buyer's market for keepers in the Premier League. England international Sam Johnston has lost his place at Wolves, while clubs are expected to look at Man City's number 2, Stefan Ortega, maybe potentially tempt him to be number 1, which would be a great shout, by the way. But how do you see this going with Meslier? Because I don't think he's hot. Well, we know that he's not hot property right now. He's had a bit of a stinker last couple of seasons. What happens with him, mate? And what's a decent, price in it? It's difficult because Leeds, they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. They force him out and say, go find a club. But he holds the card because he's got 1 year left as well. And what you've got to think about, folks, with him being promoted, he's probably got a wage hike because of that as well. So if he gets no suitable offers, it might be a case of, well, I'm still young. I'll sit on my hands for a year on bench and then leave for nothing, which he's well within his rights to do. We might not like it, but he can do that. So, yeah, how do you see that one playing out, mate? I just hope that if he stays, we still going to get a fecking another goalkeeper because I can't trust him in the Prem. I know you might disagree, Bo, but I just can't.
Don't set me up for a fall comments immediately.
Harrison and Meslier must
start. I know. Without even saying all, I've been clipped up into that now. So I've found the Meslier Silent S thing unbelievably interesting from even getting towards end of the season, because I thought I was not an advocate of this, but I thought Meslier would be the starting number 1. But bear in mind, everybody, this is months and months and months ago. Yeah. And then when all the mistakes really started to fly in, quite literally, it was obvious that they're going to be looking elsewhere for him. But I did think that they've got a bit of value in him. What I do think is interesting though is what Meslier actually thinks, because you've got to look at what would he have anticipated in that year that we got promoted years ago when he became the number 1 for the 8 games or whatever, and then he became our actual number 1.
Yeah.
Would he have anticipated that at the time? Would he have anticipated the position he's actually in as a footballer right now, having been promoted? Would he actually be up for being the number 2 to a decent keeper for a year? Do you know what I mean? Maybe getting a few chances if the other keeper can, and just think, well, I'm actually quite happy that what I've achieved up to this point, because he is a young man and I get so much stick for this, but he may very well come good. I think if he gets a move away, David De Gea, I bang on about all the time, but he made so many mistakes and then he ended up being absolutely excellent for Man U. I'm not saying Mez is as good, and I'm not saying that Leeds United, because I think it's time for Mez to move on, but my point is just interesting to see what he would think, because I think there's a chance he thinks, like you say, I'll sit on my hands on bench like most keepers do anyway. Yeah. A lot of them sit on, you can only have 1, can't you, unless you're Trafford, then you can play anywhere, can't you? So I don't know, it's interesting. I think the best thing is he gets moved on. I also think it's interesting with Darlow, because do you think Darlow wants to be number 2?
Yeah.
He might have to accept his fate at this point, but he didn't sign to the club to be the number 2. So, and then if you're getting rid of both,
it's a difficult one, isn't it? Yeah.
It's one of the most interesting positions. And for some reason, I have I'm in zero panic about that position. Every other position, I'm like, oh, but the keeper, I think it's just because I just avoided it out of my brain ever since I realised Trafford was the best player in the world. I just had to go, well, if it ain't Trafford, who can you get in? I think the best thing is he moves on.
Yeah, definitely. I think. What we're saying about a potential for Nick Pope, then that'd be the one, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, you convinced me again the other day because I keep going in and out with this. I thought initially I thought Nick Pope, that's a decent shout, and then I thought there's no chance of that. And then if Trafford is signing for Newcastle, then I'm like, well, I know he said he's going to stay and fight for his position, but we were talking about it one way the other day, and I was like, yeah, I'm sort of back on board with it. He's been at worse clubs, hasn't he, Nick Pope? By the way, when I say on board with it, I am well on board with that signing. It's a brilliant signing. I'm just on about whether or not he fancies it. Because obviously Newcastle are flying, aren't they? But like you said to me the other day, he's got a year left on his contract. We'll probably offer him a decent package.
Yeah. That's the thing. And you can't...
Hopefully in a cemented Premier League side as well, because, he will know that he's coming to us. I mean, he went to Newcastle. I know they got a lot of money, but that was when they were poor, and he was a massive part of them developing, wasn't he? So if he could... He's a bit of a specialist himself at doing that, because he would shore us up.
Yeah, 100%.
A bit poor on ball, but...
No, he is, yeah. But, I mean, I listened to Square Ball. I think, if you actually look at our goalkeeper, they're just short at centre-backs. Obviously, that might change. In the Premier League, you'd expect it would. We don't want to be trying to do what Southampton did and playing it out front back 24/7 and getting caught all the time, because the pressing in the Premier League is relentless. So if it's long, it probably suit Pope better anyway, because he used to do that at Burnley. He's been a top keeper for Newcastle. So, yeah, I think he'd be great for us. But I didn't think about that. But in the article where it talks about Stefan Ortega, again, that would be a great shout. We've been linked to that keeper from Lyon. So there's keepers out there. I like Sam Johnston, though, as well, who's lost his place at Wolves. I've said that before. He's a good shot stopper, and that's what Leeds United need. We just need someone who's going to keep goal, bro, and not fucking jump out of the way of them.
I mean, I think Ortega would have a lot of
suitors. Yeah, 100%.
I actually rate him even as a second goalkeeper. I do think he's good.
100%.
And
Jimmy Glass says narrative that Diarra chose Sunderland. Yeah, it's not true, man. They just offered more money, mate. They just offered more money. That's all there is.
People have got hung up on the idea that the club have lied to us as well, haven't they? Saying that he's just not interested in a move and all this stuff.
Which is true, though, right? That's what they did say. That was something that had been peddled from the club. Don't know why. Just because it. Yeah, fuck knows. It'd have been interesting what would have happened with him had Sunderland not come in and gazumped everybody, because Everton and Brighton were looking at him as well. If Sam Johnson's been dropped, there's a reason, like Melier. I don't think you can compare the situations. Obviously, who's there? Is it Neto? No, it's not Neto. Who's their number one now at Wolves? It'll be some Portuguese dude. I'm not sure. But I don't think we can do that. It's funny because people was telling me at the start of the season, like at the end of the season, when I was talking about, would you sign anyone from relegated clubs? And I go, there's some good. No, they've been relegated for a reason. And then yesterday, people were messaging me saying we should sign Amari Hutchinson because he had a ball in the final. Well, yeah, I said that before, but it was like, he's been relegated with Ipswich. Football isn't as black and white as that, Mark. Situations are different.
Melier is probably I don't know whether this is just my Leeds bias, but that's one of the most unique goalkeeping stories of the year, isn't it? I mean, we were a top championship side, and the keeper was unbelievably fragile. I mean, it was going around Twitter like there's no tomorrow. They were talking about it on Talk Sport every week, and like Melier, and the Sky Sports captions every time was like, Melier howler reduces Leeds to a draw or whatever. It was all like he was the thumbnail. It were, talking about Sam Johnston, who's probably just been dipped out of form. Or, it's not, I don't know, that it was a unique scenario. Them two scenarios are not the same. Also, Ampadu got all this, didn't he, with the relegations and, there's so many, I think I've said to you before, Joe, but there's so many. I mean, they're all mint footballers of that. There's no doubt. Once you're playing anywhere near that level, you are immense at football. But there must be so many players that are just at clubs that they just cannot express themselves in, and it just don't, and they're just in poor sides. It's so difficult to win football games. And when you hit home and and I believe Ampadu has found his home genuinely, because he's a brilliant footballer and he's perfect for us, and we look up to him, respect him. Farker loves him. So, he's now a championship 100-pointer, isn't he? Centurion.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Yeah.
And he was a relegation fodder player, wasn't he? But with high expectation at Chelsea or whatever, and then, potentially if he did not come to Leeds.
Made his debut at 16, his Exeter debut at 15. He's still so young, man. There's still so much more from Ethan Ampadu. It's mad. Ming says the captain with his number one baller, which is you, Jack. I mean, listen, folks, you'll be in for Jack is a footballer, by the way. I'll say that for him. He'll downplay it, but yeah. His captain approves. Right, I'm going to fire some. I'm going to give you some names that Leeds United have been linked to now in the goalkeeper position. I want you to tell me what your preference is. Same goes for the chat as well. So, Petrovic, he's been fleetingly linked with a move from Chelsea. Lucas Perry, which is the goalkeeper that were linked from Lyon. Nick Pope, Sam Johnston, and Aaron Ramsdale. Who would be your preference? Who's your pick? They're the keepers that have been loosely linked.
I think Nick Pope's the most solid, if I'm honest. I don't mind Ramsdale at all. I don't. He's a similar thing. I don't actually like how he is, but you do when he plays.
It'd be great for us, though.
That stuff, man. That's what I mean. You love that stuff.
Course,
and he's a bit of a character. And we're going to go up and be potentially. Well, I think we're going to do all right, but we're going to need a little bit of it, aren't we? Where you just think, players that have got a plenty of character about them. So I'm not adverse to that. I don't know about the Leon lad.
No.
Petrovic would be decent. I'd go Nick Pope.
Nick Pope's probably cheapest and safest pair of hands. You know what you're getting.
You 100% know what you're getting. Yeah, Nick Pope,
100%.
And he will properly steady it, and it'd be brilliant to play in front of him.
Yeah,
for them, lads. Yes,
definitely.
What's your preference, Joe?
Out of all them, Nick Pope, cheapest. Easiest to get done. Can say he wants to stay, but I just think it's pretty easy to get done. Obviously, we've got the youth, mate. Your Greenwoods, your JBs, your Gelharts. Do you think now is this summer they have to leave, innit? Like we have to.
How long can it go on for?
Hey,
how long can it go on for?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not going to happen, is it?
No, we have to find buyers for them. Like, I felt a bit like Sam Greenwood's agent was a bit like Cody Dramas when he was linked to Leicester and Sunderland, and I was like, Borough and Preston both refused to take him for 1 million, so why now do Leicester and Sunderland?
Yeah, I read a report of the day that they reckon they can get 4 million for him, for Greenwood. I think it was 3. It were either 3 for him and 4 for Giabi, or other way around. And I thought, no, how are you getting that?
I think you'll struggle to get more than 5 for Joffe.
Well, I mean, I like Gelbart selfishly. Yeah, I know, but don't start that off. I had my mate texting me yesterday like, Cresswell was amazing last night. Just won't shut up about it. Like,
I can imagine. Yeah.
Here we go again.
Chat's been the same. Some guy said on my in my comments the other week, I mean, he got shot down by a lot of people, but he said, we sold the Championship's best centre-back. And I was like, who's that? And he went, Cresswell. I was like, how do you work that out?
The under-21s as well, it drives me a bit. I sound like a dinosaur, but if the top 21-year-olds should be in the senior side, shouldn't they? I do believe that.
What do you make Harvey Elliott though?
He's good. He's never going to get in the England side, is he?
In the future, I think.
In the real one.
In the future, there's a potential on the outskirts of it.
He's mint, really good player.
Yeah, he's good.
There's people saying that, if you signed him, it'd be an amazing signing. Because that has gone around Twitter because he's had a good. But he's been good at Liverpool, hasn't he? He's a good player.
I was saying it, mate, and got told on Twitter that he wasn't good enough. And now, like you say,
not good enough for who was?
Yeah, genuinely got told. We can do better. It's on Twitter.
No, that is bonkers. But my point is, I'm not knocking Harvey Elliott. I think it'd be an amazing signing. But I'm on him. He might get the odd cap. But as an under 21, I think it's a bit of a farce. The top 20-year-olds play for the real senior teams, don't they? They do not play in the under-21s.
Yeah,
and that, I'm not knocking the achievement of last night either, but it is not, because everybody said, there's this narrative where they're better than senior. They're like, what do you mean? No, they're nowhere near that. Do you know what I mean? That's why they're playing in basically a kids tournament. It's not the same thing. Yamal's not going to play there, is he? He's not going to go, hey, I'll play for under-21s.
Definitely not.
So I'm not knocking. I'm certainly not knocking Harvey Elliott. I think it's a brilliant signing, but I have to think it's an unachievable signing as well. So
talk to me about Gus Hamer, mate.
I'm up for that more so than I was at the start.
There's been a little change here.
Well, it's because we've done stuff as well, Joe. So my panic was that everybody were really banging on about him, and I thought, I really don't want to be doing this where we're just hunting around for players that didn't make the grade, and then we have to bring him with us for some reason. But because we look like we are doing bits, I can't see a problem with it really. I think he's definitely decent. I mean, I got hammered because I said I've made a bit of a joke about Aronson, and now there's not much of a difference between them in terms of, I'd back Aronson. I don't know. It was a joke, but I don't even know why I brought it back up, but I'll just get it again. But Hamer's a better player than Aronson, just to clear that up. But yeah, I'm more up for that than I was. But I'm still not blown away by that. I don't understand the Gus Hamer thing. Now, to be honest.
No.
Well, you rate him, don't you?
I do rate him, yeah. Like, I guess I watched a lot of Sheffield United last season, and yeah, the only time they ever did well was, when he was in the side.
But they didn't have a mind-blowing side, did they, really? I know they did well, but they weren't good to watch, well, you didn't think, wow,
No.
It was typical Wilder football, wasn't it, really?
Yeah.
I'm not even knocking that because it was, they didn't go up. If that had been Farker, can you imagine?
Yeah, exactly. Well, this is going to be a good case study for what could have happened with Leeds had we sacked Farker, by the way. Because they've brought in a new manager now. It has to be a success. Otherwise, they've dropped the ball because it'll be second season parachute payments. Whereas I do believe, obviously we don't know until the ball's kicked, that Wilder with another transfer window would have got Sheffield United there or thereabouts. There's no guarantees that Ruben Sellers would. So I think this will be a good test to see how it goes. And do
you think Wilder's kicked off, Joe?
There's no ownership in it, mate. No ownership. I think I think it'd be hard to work. Like, if you, I don't know, he'll want full running of it all, won't they? And I think, didn't they buy 2 players from like somewhere totally unknown, but based on data and that, and they brought him into football club. So you can imagine what Wilder would have been like. He'd have been like, what the fuck? And they never featured, so I don't know what the deal is there. But yeah, I think they were always going to go down a different route. Do you know what I mean? Get their own man in. But 5 games in, if they haven't started well, then fans will turn because they all love Wilder like crazy.
Yeah, well, he does. I can't stand him, but I like to dislike him. But he does get the job done, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah,
there it is. Look, they signed 2 Bulgarians based on data. Yeah, not for Wilder. That. Yeah, no one.
That is crazy. Though.
Sousa set to leave Sheffield United for 13 million as well, and he was one of their better players. Vinny Sousa, good player in there. So yeah. Hamer has been linked to PSV as well, to be fair. So and apparently he's dropped down the pecking order. What do you think for you, Jack? Before we finish up, is our most important position we must recruit for in the Premier League? Do you think? Is it goals? Is it creation? Is it at the back with the goalkeeper?
It's difficult because we don't have a left back. But, in the grand scheme of things, that's not the most important position on the pitch. But right now, if we don't bring in a left back, we're done, aren't we? But really, the 10 is, I know it's like a broken record from last season, but the 10 was and is the hardest position on pitch, I believe. And it's the hardest to get right. That's why when we were banging on about Hamer, I thought, well, if we're on about putting him in the 10, then I can't get up for that. It needs to be the 10's the most important position. I really think it is. I think the wingers, I've said this before, I get pellets for this, but wingers are much of a muchness. You can get loads of decent
the
wingers.
10 a penny as well. You can get a winger from anywhere, bro.
Everybody's a winger, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's a winger. You know, it's a fallacy or whatever the word is. You know, like when right backs they used to be wingers. Well, wingers used to be centre forwards or centre mids, or you know, they're good on ball, or they've played they find a home out wide, and it's an easier game. It just is when if you've got a bit about you got a bit of pace or a bit of skill, you're all right on wing. Players can only come from one direction. It's 1-on-1. You're up against one player. That's all you have to deal with. If it's going tits up, you swap and you go and have a go at the other one. Do you know what I mean? It's very rare that you're up against two centre mids or whatever, and you know, so there's loads of wingers. I'm not worried about it. But the 10 is such a difficult role. That's why I'm really sympathetic towards it. And I'm sympathetic to what Aronson did. People saying he was frustrated and stuff. It's frustrating to watch. Well, so were Rutter. And Rutter's by far and away one of the best players I've watched live. It was frustrating.
Yeah.
But amazing to watch. I was gutted when Rutter left. More so than Somerville. And Somerville got so many goals for us. He was so good for us. But Rutter lights my face up when he plays. It's just, you know, when he drops his shoulder and beats someone in centre at Park, and you just think there's nobody else on pitch could do that. So I was sad when he left. So you want somebody that can turn the game. They really can turn the game on from that position.
Yeah, I think for me it's that spine, man. I read a book. I think it was Clough's, or it might have been that numpty from Across the Pennines, but yeah. I read a book and they said that the most important part is just your spine. Get the spine right and your sound, you know. I think we've got a very good centre-back partnership. Of course, it'll be massively tested in the Premier League. But I think Rodon and Biol, if they're to be the starters, which I think they will, like I say, I think the midfield... Again, we need a body in there. We definitely need some power in there, some physicality. I'd have loved Doucouré, who's left Everton, but he's going to cost you loads. Like, I think he wants 160 grand a week, and he's on his way to fucking Saudi. And then the striker, man, we need someone to put the balls in. And the thing is, as good as Pirro is, he's still an unknown entity in the Prem. He could bang. He could genuinely just bang. Because at the end of the day, scoring goals comes naturally to strikers. They know where to be. They find the right spots. Bang, it's in the back of the net. So it's just about whether or not he has that cuteness to be able to create space for himself against top-level centre-backs. You know, your Van Dijks, they're everywhere, aren't they? Your Sven Botmans, your fucking Salibas. This is where the true test comes. But I do think we need a different profile to him as well for different games, because you need someone who's going to run the channels. You need someone who's going to be pressing the centre-backs, you know, when they've got the ball at the feet. And we know that at times Pirro can be a bit cumbersome in that respect. So
Pirro will get goals, though.
Yeah. No, of course.
In front of goal, he will finish. It doesn't matter, you know, what level. You know, he will. The bloke can finish, can't he? I agree that if we're reliant on him, it's a panic. But I think that Nemecha's a decent addition as well. I think he'll get about. He'll have something a bit different. He'll get in behind and be a nuisance. Obviously, again, we don't want to be reliant on him. I don't say Bamford. I don't say the word Bamford. But you know, he's not reliant on him. But as it stands, he's still at the club, and we haven't brought another number 9 in. As I keep saying every single year, you let me know when that number 9 gets here and he's better than Bamford. Centre back.
Roy's the player that just won't die. Like every time, you know, when they say, like, they go, "Oh, I thought I was out," and they pull me back. That's Pat. We as like fans, we thought he was done, and then he had a renaissance again.
It's
you know,
a redemption story, isn't it? Relentlessly.
Yeah. He doesn't, you know, there's a lot of people say, we must sell him. We must get rid of Byram. And it's like, why? You know, they might not even touch grass, and they'll be happy doing that. But I think with Pat, he will be more service or more serviceable to us in the Prem than Joseph would, for example. So if you loan Joseph or sell, then, you know, Pat Pat for me is going to be much more serviceable in the Prem, genuinely. But mate, I was on a Prem show the other day. Big up to Potsy, and he said like, someone asked, "Have you still got Bamford?" Do you know what I mean? It's a bit of a running joke, really, to be honest. So yeah, this is his last year.
The joke, though, aren't we? Of course. It's not me and you. The fan base have created the joke. That's the issue I've got with it. Why is it that whenever you talk about Leeds United, the first thing people like, the transfer market opens, and the first comment I get on my video is, right, get Bamford out. And it's like, the transfer market's just opened. How exciting is this as a time to be a Leeds United fan going into the Premier League, and your brain still wakes up and thinks, get Bamford out of this club? That's crazy to me. Bamford can sit on the bench all season for me. Come on for 20 minutes in a game. That'll play 40 minutes over the entire season. Maybe nick a goal off from a corner or something. And then Bamford can go off and do his own thing. Do what he deserves it. Is what it is. He's been decent for us. I've got a bit of time for him. I like him.
Do you know who might be available who had tech? I mean, this is a bit tongue-in-cheek, but Nicholas Jackson. Because Chelsea have just reached an agreement to sign João Pedro for in excess of 50 million. They've just bought Delap. So maybe that means Nicholas Jackson's minutes will be at a premium now.
He's had it hard as well. I feel for any centre forward that goes to Chelsea, man.
Chelsea screwed, I know, yeah. Delap's the truth, though. Genuinely. Delap's different gravy, man.
We'll see.
Yeah, you won't like him for whatever reason. You'll be like, I don't get it, man. I fucking Delap, man.
No, I do. I get it. You know, brilliant last season.
Yeah,
he was. I don't think going to Chelsea is by any means.
It's not the right move for anybody.
No, it's not though. And as a number 9, I can count on one hand out for how mint they've been. I can count on one hand since Abramovich came in how many good centre forwards they've had.
I had one, man. No, 2. Costa and Drogba.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I know we don't like Chelsea, but Drogba's one of my favourite ever number 9s.
Yeah, he was a monster, wasn't he? He didn't start that well for him.
No, he didn't. No,
he had a poor start, and then he came, and then he was just. There's something. It's strange, really.
Big game player as well.
Oh,
scored in all the big games, man.
Yeah,
all of them. Yeah,
they had that lad right at the start though, didn't Mutu, whatever he called.
What, the sniff head?
Yeah, but he would. Do you remember how mint he was when he first got there?
Mutu, yeah.
He was awesome, and then I don't think you'd get, but it was Cocaine on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, but I don't think. Do you reckon they'd get booted out for that now? Because he got like,
Yeah, he was done, mate. Done, wasn't he?
Well, it's mental, really. It's only a bit of. I mean, I don't do it, but I just don't think there'd be the same crazy reaction nowadays. I think it's a lot more. I think people are a lot more aware. I mean, how long ago? 15 years ago.
Long time ago, mate. Long time ago, yeah.
There'll be plenty on it, is my point, on a weekend.
Yeah, he got banned for a year, says Jack. He got banned for a year. And then I think, did he go to Italy after? I'm not too sure, but I know his career just absolutely nosedived.
Yeah, it was mint.
Yeah, it was good, but yeah. I'd love someone like Drogba. Let's find the next Drogba. Or next Giroud. Giroud's gone back to France, by the way. I'd have took fucking Giroud. Honestly.
Giroud's underrated as well.
So underrated, mate. One of the best number 9s in the past decade. You know what I mean? He's quality.
I mean, he's touch and stuff as well. He's like, he's the because he's a big, strong bloke. He's a bit like Viduka, isn't he? Big, strong, like mint touch and can hold players off and
just technically brilliant, man.
Yeah, and he looks good, doesn't he, Giroud?
Yeah,
everything he does has a bit of like.
Yeah, I love that advert. Did you ever see that advert for the rainbow laces? And he goes like that. Spraying, he goes, "It's because I'm gorgeous." It's the way he says it, man. It's brilliant, man. And Weech, cameraman, it's so good, man. So good. Yeah, it's funny, man. What about DCL? My mate, who's a Man United fan, actually messaged me and went, "Calvert-Lewin to Leeds." I was like, "No, mate, we can't take the risk." And he was like, "Yeah, but off the bench." And I went, "No, because he won't big wages and that." But what do you think? His next move? Would you take DCL?
I've said no from when this started. I don't know why. I do it all on a hunch because I'd have gone with Callum Wilson. I'd have been happy for that one.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think Callum Wilson's a better player than Calvert-Lewin, just to clear that up. But they are different centre forwards, and Calvert-Lewin on his day is more or less unplayable, isn't it? To be fair, big strong beast, but I just don't know. And this is awful, and this is my hunch, but I just don't know if he fancies it in general.
Oh,
It
yeah.
doesn't strike me as that, and it might be really unfair. That, do you know what I mean? I might be well off, but I don't think he fancies it. I just think he's sort of in football. It's such a harsh thing to say because I know nothing about him, but you've got to be at a certain level to get to the level he's got at.
Of course, yeah.
I don't know where he goes.
Yeah, I think had injuries not scuppered him, I think he would have done really well, man. When he came, I think when Ancelotti had him, he was quality for a period of time, but just so many injuries. And like you say, he loves the catwalks and stuff, doesn't he? He's a bit of a fashionista, so yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it helps that though. I don't want to be the Roy Keane, but he's a bit like, you need to get on with your career and get your head. It's ruined Rashford, hasn't it, and stuff. And I do.
Oh yeah, man.
And it is all the nonsense though. It has to be. There has to be an element where it takes. You just think, well, because I know what I'm like. I'd be like, well, I'll just do this instead. Like, and they've got loads of money. They've got no worries. Do you know what I mean? It's difficult, really, to stay at the top, obviously, and
Yeah, it is, mate. It is. Before we go, being obviously one of the Yorkshire Roses, there's been a picture of the Peacocks on our mate Dan Mountain's Twitter. I'm going to share it on the screen now. Looking at the lads, I'm not worried. Jay Carty's been in the chat as well. He's the one laid down at the front there. Don't worry me. Don't worry me looking at them fine specimens of men. What are you saying, Jack?
Are they the ones? Are they
Peacocks? Yeah.
I'm joking. I know that they're the players. Obviously.
Who's the lad on the far right? I need someone to tell me. It looks a bit like James McAtee in City shirt.
Well, I've definitely got a problem with it if it's James McAtee. that does, I think that's game over if there's even, one James McAtee in there.
Yeah, I'm looking at that. I'm not concerned, man.
Jay,
I've got some insider info, Jay, that says fitness was a massive concern. And looking at you, fine specimen of men, I can understand why.
The game's going to be fought and battled for about 5 minutes, and then it's going to collapse, isn't it?
Yeah. Like them.
Wow, this is at an insane pace. Look at these, then everybody's going to be like hands on knees from throwing,
it'll be like them white collar boxing bouts, man.
Yeah.
Windmilling for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Look at them lads, and then look at them lads. Come on, man. We look professional outfit, man. Come on. Yeah, man. Love it, man. Yeah, exactly. Some people feigned an injury, man. But rain or shine, I will be there. I can't wait, actually, mate. There's less than a month now. It's the 30th tomorrow, so then we've got 20 days.
Yeah, I'm off on holiday on Wednesday as well, which is not, honestly, I'm going to try and go on a couple of runs, and I know I'm not going to do it.
No, definitely not.
I swear down, I'm going to try that.
Bro, I went to Benidorm, and I was doing couch 10K, and I went for a run one morning. Bro, I had such a headache, man. Because of how hot it is. Like, my head for ages was just going. I know it sounds mad, but it's like it's a different kind of heat. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like my mum used to say, it's a different kind of sun abroad. But there's got to be something in it.
Yeah. Just combined with a hangover is going to be like,
yeah.
I just don't want to come back and think, right, I've got a week here to and it'll probably take me a week just to go back to work and feel normal after a week away. So
yeah, man. Big up to Oliver. He says, witness the fitness. Yeah, if you haven't already, make sure you get your tickets, folks. It's £7 for adults, £3 for children. It's going to be a good day. We're all going to stick around after the fact as well and meet and greet and all that sort of jazz. So it'll be great to see people. My family's going. My kids and that'll be there. So just bring bring people along. Jack will have people there, you know. So it's just going to be a good day out, man. And let's put on a great show so that next time the club said, you know what, stick it in Ellen Road, and then we can make it even bigger, can't we? So make sure you get involved. And it's for prostate cancer as well. So it's for a great cause. So yeah, make sure you do that. Jack, have you got anything you want to say before we depart, mate? Listen, we've got 1,500 people watching, by the way. It just suddenly jumped from about 500 to up to 1,500. I don't know what happened. So yeah, so big up to everyone. Please make sure you subscribe, by the way, as well, because I'm now on. Let's have a look. Give us a look. 53 subscribers away from 35k. So yeah, if you can subscribe, then please do it. It'd be a great help. I think you can, Paul, but we'd prefer people to buy before so we know how much of the stand to open. I think is what the narrative. I think Joel, yeah, because I think it's like 2 tiers, so it might be a case of if we've got so many, then they'll open the top, something like that. But yeah, you can. I think, mate. It'd be great to see so many people there. Premier League numbers for a Premier League fan channel. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much. Jack, what are you on, mate? What we close to?
I've just gone over 5,000. I've got 5,150 or something now. So
next stop 10k. Next stop 10k.
Well, we'll see about 10k. I'm trying to get to 6.
You know what, as well, folks? I've twisted Jack's arm. I think we were having a conversation about this, about potentially next season on away games when Jack's not in the ground, he might be taking a drive up here to do some in-person watch-alongs with your boys. So, yeah, that might be a new feature next season. So join us for that, because that'll be good crack.
Yeah, well up for it. As long as we don't get battered, because, you know, it'd be like, we might start bickering a bit.
Yeah. Right. It's all for the content, though, mate. It's all for the content. Imagine I go like that and I go, get out!
I've got to go stand at the door. Like,
yeah, exactly.
But can I watch the game? Got to go to the local pub and watch game.
Exactly. Watch on your phone in my bedroom. Yeah, man, a lot of love. So make sure you're going over, check out Jack's channel. He just needs to be more consistent. So if you're going over, then he'll get that consistency. There's his channel there as well. So yeah, smash a like on the video. Monday, to be honest, I'm expecting a very busy week. A very busy week for content. So make sure you've got your notifications on. And that's it, Jack. We'll see you in a bit, folks. Bye-bye.
Cheers, lads.